Hi everyone, Eloise here, and today I have my second video as a video guest designer for the Grading Farm. So today I'm going to be using the Purfect Cats stamp set and coordinating dies, and I just love this stamp set. It's so cute. I love those little chubby cats. They are adorable. And for one of the 30-day colouring challenges, I coloured these cats and I stacked them on top of each other, and I just thought they were so cute, and so I thought that I would sort of replicate that today and actually put it on a card this time. So to begin my card, I'm actually going to go ahead and work on the background first. So I'm going to do an emboss resist background with some ink smushing. So I'm taking all of the little images that come in the stamp set. So there's like a little like confetti piece and a star, a mouse, a ball, and also a cupcake, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that all along the background in the bottom corner, sort of fading up to the top corner. And so I've just gone ahead and stamped them all down with Versamark ink and then coated them in clear embossing powder, and now I'm going to go ahead and heat set them. And if you have a little bit of trouble like seeing where you're stamping, you can sort of tilt your cardstock and stamp, or you can place the heat embossing powder over every time you stamp if that's easier for you. I just wanted it done as fast as possible, so I just sort of stamped and like sort of tilted my head in the light to see where I stamped them down. So now I'm going to go ahead and Copic colour in my cats. So I've just stamped down all three of them onto some Nina Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm going to colour them in, as I said, with Copic markers. So for this first cat here, I'm going to do a black and white cat. So I'm first colouring in the spots, and so I'm using some grey Copic markers for that. I'm actually using the cool greys, and so I started off with C9, then C7, and then C5 to blend all together, and I love how that sort of creates the look of black without actually being black. So now I'm just going to go ahead and finish this one ear off here because I forgot to add some shading, and now I'm going to go ahead and colour the white portion of the cat. So I'm using C3 first, and I'm just going where I think the darkest places would be, and then I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of C1 and blend that out. And I'm not blending out completely since I want the middle of the cat to be white, but I do want there to be some shadows so it sort of appears more white. And then once I've gone in with the C1, I'm going to go in with C0 and sort of fade that out into white. And then I'm going to go ahead in with my 0 marker and blend that all together so that I fade that grey into the white centre. And once that dries, it'll become really flawless. Now that I've finished the black and white kitty, I'm going to go ahead and colour a ginger kitty. I have two ginger kitties at home and they are just absolutely gorgeous, so I knew I had to do a ginger kitty today. So I first started off with E99 and just scribbled over the little stripes there where you sort of like intended the stripes to be, and then I went ahead and blended that out with YR27 and added a little bit more additional shading in areas where I thought that there would be shadows. Now I'm going in with YR24 and blending that colour out even more, then finishing off with YR21 and blending that all together. And I must have had some like black on my marker or something because I got a little black smudge when I turned my marker, and but it's okay, I sort of managed to blend it out okay. But I just had to be super careful after that because I didn't want any more black smudges. And so now I'm just blending that all together, and I did actually go in once more with some more of the YR24 and stuff to sort of help that blend in a bit better. And I also used some R20 for the little cheeks as well. I just thought that added a little bit of extra something. Now, because this bottom cat is super fluffy, or at least it looks like it's supposed to be really fluffy, I wanted to do a pure white cat since I just think like pure white cats that are super fluffy are just the cutest. So I first went in with some W1 and just again I did the same sort of technique I did on the black and white cat, where I don't want it to be completely grey. I just want it to sort of have a little bit of tinge of grey to make it appear more white and to match all of the shading on the other images. So then when I was finished with that W0, I went in with W00 and then blended that out into white with the 0 marker, and then again just used the R20 for the little cheeks. Now for the last little piece on my images, I used to use some R22 and R20 for the little mouth of the cat I coloured first, and then used all of the coordinating dies to cut them out. And so there you go, you can see one of my little kitties, Leo, on the side here. He just loves being on my desk, as well as my kitty Tiger. They love my craft room and they always interrupt me while I'm doing videos, but it's alright because they're super cute. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to my background piece, and I'm going to go ahead and do my background smushing technique. So I'm first using distress inks, squish them down a little bit of acetate. I'm using peacock feathers here first, and then I spritz it with water and press down, and I just love the sort of super simple watercolor background that you get here. So I'm just doing one layer first. So I first did peacock feathers, now I'm doing twisted citron, and then I'm going to finish up the top piece with some scattered straw. So I'm just sort of moving the colour around a little bit with that acetate. You get the additional burst of colour when you first flatten down on the piece of acetate, but then I love using the corners of the acetate sort of to move that colour a little bit more around and get it to exactly where you want it to go. You could easily just do this with a brush, but I just love using acetate. It's super fun and easy to do. And I did go ahead and do a second layer on that just to create a little bit of a darker look, since my images were coloured quite like darkly. That's not really a word, but I didn't want the background to be super pale, so I went ahead and did a second layer, and you can see all of the little embossed resist pieces showing through, which is super fun. Then I felt like my panel needed an extra colour, so I decided that I would add a balloon. And since this stamp set didn't have a balloon, and I didn't have any other sort of stamp sets with a balloon image, I decided to create my own. So I'm going to do a cupcake balloon. So I'm just going to go ahead here and I stamped down the cupcake that came from the Purfect Cats stamp set also. Then added sort of a little triangle on the bottom of the cupcake there to sort of create that bottom of the balloon part. And then I just use the side of an acrylic block to draw a string. And then I just colour that in with some Copic super fast. They're just using R22, R21 and R20. And then also just used a little bit of browns for the bottom part of the cupcake. And that created a really fun balloon. And so I just used the die for the top of the piece of the cupcake and then just used my scissors to fussy cut the rest of the image. I then went ahead and added foam adhesive all behind those images and stuck them down onto my card, and it made it look like that little balloon there was coming from the kitty's tail, which I think just is super cute. It added some height to the card and an extra colour. Once I had adhered everything down, I went ahead and stamped this happy per day sentiment onto some black cardstock. Now, this is a stacked sentiment, but I just cut it apart and stamped it next to each other, just using some Versamark ink and then used some white embossing powder. And I really loved that straight sentiment look. I just think it worked better for my card. Now I'm going ahead and adding my entire watercoloured panel onto a card base, and then to completely finish up my card I'm just adding some Wink of Stella onto the top of the cupcake balloon and then just onto the little cheeks of the kitties, and just completely finished off my card, and I really love how it turned out. So I hope you enjoyed my card today. Thank you so much for the Greeting Farm for having me as a video guest designer. I had a lot of fun creating these cards with your products. I absolutely adore them. And so I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will catch you next time.